muted. There we go. Hello, hello. Good evening and welcome. My mic was muted, but hopefully you can hear me now. Oh, blimey. I'm wearing a party hat on top of my my headphones. There we go. So I am in the party mood. We've got some bubbles to blow, as ever is tradition around these parts. Whenever there's a celebration in tune, and when I say in tune, I mean in the house. Love that. Yeah, well, yeah. We've got this little tub of party hats, and I keep on wearing this one for special occasions. And this is a special occasion. Like I say, today, the 12th birthday, 12th anniversary, 12th 12th year has come to an end of Archaeosoup. And, well, the past couple of years have both flown by and dragged for obvious reasons. But this year, I thought it might be fun to celebrate by having a live stream choose your own adventure experience. And we're going to be looking at Journey to Stonehenge, choose your own adventure, number 35. Look at that imagery on the front. Just incredible. Incroyable. Rainbows, magical crystals, druids, Stonehenge, stone monument in the background, and this story, as part of the Choose Your Own Adventure series, was written by Fred Graver and illustrated by Leslie Morrell. And as we go, I'll be able to show you the illustrations as well. The book, actually, was first published in 1984, the year I was born, actually, on the 1st of August. So it's about 6 weeks older than me, we reckon. So, but it's in fairly good condition, as am I suppose. You know, we're both in relatively good condition, considering how old we are. And I've read the first little bit of this story. Mrs. Soup and I started it one night, and we got so far, you know, just to a certain point, and we thought, oh, this is too good not to share. So here we are now this evening. So hopefully we're ready. We're good to go. Let the story. Oh, actually, no, we're not ready. We need to blow the bubbles. Yeah, happy birthday to Archaeosoup. Bubble blowing, crucial. There we go. That wasn't too bad. I'll go again. It's funny, the frame rate on the webcam isn't conducive to bubble blowing. Maybe if I blow up a little bit. Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm getting all of my desktop equipment covered in bubbles now. Oh, that was a good one. There we go. That's what we wanted. Happy birthday indeed. Bubbles have been blown. And yeah, we shall begin the story. Journey to Stonehenge. You're the star of the story. Choose from 19 possible endings. And actually, I noticed on Amazon earlier today that there's a reprint of this book where there are 21 possible endings. So I don't know if they altered some of the endings, presumably they added endings, maybe changed some of the storyline threads and beats. But this is the original with a mere 19 possible endings. So, warning, do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. Yeah. So the idea is that you start at the beginning and then you make a choice and you have to go to a particular page as prescribed, hence choose your own adventures, in case you didn't know. And there's also a special warning for this edition of the book. Special warning. Just there. You will be travelling to Stonehenge as a reporter. Before you go, you may want to read the briefing that your newspaper has prepared. This information about the building of Stonehenge could provide the background you need to help you in your travels. The briefing, if you choose to read it, begins on the next page. And I think we shall. Briefing on Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a great monument constructed of earth and stone by primitive civilizations. Now that's an oxymoron right there. A primitive civilization. Primitive civilizations in Britain. No one knows why exactly Stonehenge was built, or what they were doing there exactly. Spinal Tap. Or who built it, or what purpose it served once it was completed. Many believe that Stonehenge was used to observe the cycles of the sun and moon. And in fact, a recent suggestion has returned to that as the notion of a solar calendrical purpose, which I don't think anyone's ever really doubted. It's definitely aligned with the solstice. But for me personally, I think that, and it's quite well established that the monument is connected to the broader landscape. I don't think Stonehenge is on its own. There's a wooden version just up the river. There's a path that leads to the river, all this sort of stuff. So I think Stonehenge is more than just one place. But anyway, or rather, Stonehenge is one place in a tapestry of many others in that landscape. Others feel that it provided a central meeting place. Good evening, Charminar. Good evening. For tribes as a place of worship, for making laws, for marketing crops, for selling crops and goods. Perhaps the greatest puzzle of all is how Stonehenge was built. How were these huge stones transported to this site? How were they carved, fitted to each other, and raised in the enormous arches we now call trilithons? Trilithon? Yeah, trilithons. Triathlons. No, trilithons. We will never know the answers to these questions. That's a bit defeatist, isn't it? The culture that built Stonehenge is gone forever, leaving no trace of itself other than this monument. That's not quite true. Only part of which is standing today. Scientists do know approximately when Stonehenge was built, between the years 2800 and 1400 BC. In 3 separate stages. The first stage saw the completion of a circular hill, which we know as the outermost circle of Stonehenge, and the 3 circles of holes, 56 in all, that ringed the monument. The 4 station stones, which were supposedly used to indicate the positions of the moon at various times of the year, also were constructed during the first stage. The second stage, which began in 2100 BC, saw the construction of a double circle of standing stones at the centre of the monument, as well as the broad avenue that leads to Stonehenge from the outer edge of the grassy plains surrounding it, and indeed down to the river, as we later understood. But obviously this book is as old as I am, and they didn't necessarily know that at that point. In the third, final stage, the double circle of stones was actually taken apart and rebuilt, and many of the trilithons were erected. It's a good thing to remember as you ponder the mysteries of Stonehenge that 1400 years is a long time. 7 times as long, for example, as the history of the United States. In that time, different tribes and chiefdoms contributed to the construction of Stonehenge. Each may have had very different reasons for building the monument. Perhaps one day we will know what these reasons were. Hang on a second. You said here we will never know the answers to the questions. Mr. Fred Graver. Perhaps one day we will know what these reasons were. Perhaps in your journey to Stonehenge you will discover some of them for yourself. Journey to Stonehenge. So, you are in the office of Tightwire, a newspaper written by, for, and about kids all over the world. The editor-in-chief, your friend Mark, thank you, well, Mark with a K, hands you a cablegram. Ooh, cablegram. Teenage archaeologists are working at Stonehenge under my leadership. New discoveries, phenomena will startle the world. Send reporter within 5 days. The problem is I can't zoom the camera out. It's a real shame. Maybe I can sort of push the screen back a little bit. Is that, I don't know. But now the microphone's in there. Oh no! I tell you what, I'll sit back a little bit. I'll sit back a touch. You're ruining the story. There we go. Yes, Archaeosoup turned 11-2 today. No, it'd be 11-1, wouldn't it? Actually, 12 would be 11-1. I think. Methinks. Oh, we completely ruined the framing. There we go. Right. Party hat. I'll bring the mic in a bit. Anyway, we have the picture, the first picture of the story. There you go. The journalists at this newspaper, the Tight Wire, and you have teen-age archaeologists are working at Stonehenge under my leadership, according to P.J. Engleton. That's page 1. Turn to page 2, it says. Sounds like a crackpot to me, you say to Mark. I checked him out, Mark replies. He's the real thing. 15 years old. 15 years old, but a brilliant student of history and archaeology. He and a group of other British kids convinced their government to let them dig around Stonehenge. Please don't trash this on my account. Too late. I already trashed it. I trashed it already. To Stonehenge this summer. The first group in 10 years to get permission, led by a 15-year-old. That's quite impressive. Even if his discoveries don't startle the world, there's a story in Stonehenge and his group. Do you want to go? Why not, you answer. I've never been to England. Should be fun. I mean, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't ask too many questions. It's a kids' newspaper run by kids, and there's a kid who's running the Stonehenge excavation. Hey, Beck. Good evening. Thank you very much. Happy 12 years to me indeed, or to Archaeosoup indeed. That night, you're on a jet to London. Mark has cabled P.J. Engleton to expect you, and when you arrive, you're greeted by a young woman. I'm Joanne, and I'm working with P.J., she tells you. My car is outside. Turn to the next page. On the long drive through the English countryside, Joanne fills you in on P.J. and his expedition. Oh dear. What exactly did Wobbly hat? Expedition. PJ is a child prodigy. Prodigy? Yes, prodigy. Not the fire starter. And a genius, although I'd say he's a self-proclaimed genius in that sense. Very simply, he is a publicity hound. Do you think he's exaggerated to get me here, you ask? Well, yes and no. PJ has made some wild claims. He says he's witnessed some very strange things around Stonehenge, things that may have to do with, as he puts it, a breakdown in the walls of space and time. This is starting to sound like, was it Osmanovic at the so-called Bosnian pyramids, isn't it? Taking her eyes off from the road, Joanne turns to get your reaction before continuing. Problem is, no one else seems to know what exactly he's talking about. He's alone most of the time. You'll see what I mean. Turn to page 6, it suggests. So as soon as we get options, I will ask you guys what it is that you want to do. So, page 6. At last, you and Joanne reach Stonehenge. Dark clouds fly low in the sky, and a cool breeze sweeps the plain as you walk up the broad avenue leading to the monument. The first thing you notice are several groups of students, all working intently. Around the monument, they stand, examining the ground. Then you look up at the monoliths of Stonehenge. Immediately you are struck by the grace and simplicity of these enormous stones. You enter Stonehenge through a break in the earthwork, a mound of earth with circles, which circles the ring of stones. And just inside the mound are 3 rings of holes, most of which have been covered with slabs of white slate. Beyond those 3 circles stand massive towering stones, which are the megalith Stonehenge. In the centre of it all, standing in solitude and power, is the altar stone. Crikey. Turn to page 8. Hello, Yank, a boisterous voice calls from behind you. My name is P.G. Engleton. I don't know why I'm doing that accent, but I'm going to try and stick with it. PJ is a chubby English youth. He takes you aside, leaving Joanne behind. Nice of you to come. I was thinking if you want the real story about Stonehenge, you'd best stay in my tent with me. That was the point. That was the point that we said this. We need to share this. Engleton, PJ Engleton. Angleton. No. Now, think it over. There's no rush, but you wouldn't regret it. As quickly as the conversation began, it ends as PJ walks away from you. Wiggling his hips. No. He walks away from you. That means he's finished talking, says Joanne as she comes up beside you. Why don't I show you to the guest tent? Well, PJ mentioned something about staying with him, you say. Hey, what kind of reporter are you? Joanne exclaims. How do you expect to get an objective picture of his expedition staying with one of its members? In his tent, of all things. It's up to you, of course, but I'd stay on my own if I were you, at least until you get a better idea of what we're actually all about. So, here's the first decision. Do we, if you decide to stay in the guest tent, turn to page 56. If you decide to stay with PJ, turn to page 16. And incidentally, here we go. So, we have Stonehenge there. Stonehenge! And I think that's PJ with his glasses on just there. And that's you meeting him. And I mean, the description was of elegant stones, wasn't it? Yeah. I'm not sure that those are actually elegantly carved. But anyway, what do we think? Kill Jester. Page 56, if you want to stay in the guest tent. Page 16, if you want to stay with PJ. I'll let you guys, we'll see what happens in the chat. I think PJ seems to be eager to have you stay with him, and he says that we won't regret it if we do join him in his tent. Not sure about PJ. He looks a bit piggy in Lord of the Flies. Don't want to get in the way of throwing rocks. That's a very good point. Yeah. Nolan, you're voting to stay with PJ. To be honest, I have to say I'm tempted. I am tempted to stay with PJ. But anyway, that's 50-50. Anyone want to have the deciding vote? Yeah, the hat really is wobbling on top of it. Problem is, it's hard to wear the hat and the headphones at the same time. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I think. Yeah, okay, there you go. Go with PJ. Let's go. Blame Nolan if it goes wrong. Hashtag blame Nolan. Okay, let's stay with PJ. I'll take my chances with PJ, you tell Joanne. Suit yourself, she says. I think you're making a big mistake, though. That night, after everyone has gone to sleep, PJ is still awake. And I wonder if he's in his PJs. There's something at the monument I want you to see, he whispers. Follow me. You rush out after him. I've been witnessing paranormal disturbances all over the last few nights, he says. As you walk towards the monument, I'd like you to observe them with me. He leads you to a place just outside the earthen ring surrounding Stonehenge. Watch the monument, he says, laying in a sleeping bag on the ground. If anything happens, wake me. I'm already regretting it. In no time at all, PJ is asleep. Hours pass. You watch as the moon weaves a path through the stones and arches of Stonehenge. Stonehenge. Suddenly you hear noises coming from the inner rings of the monument. It sounds as if a group of people are inside, chanting a strange language. You turn to wake PJ, but he's already sitting bolt upright, his eyes wide open, as if in a daze. Go to the next page. PJ, what's going on here? You ask. He doesn't answer. Instead, he gets up and walks towards the monument. You turn and watch him and see a coloured light glowing within Stonehenge. It's as if the moon had been cast through a prism, bathing the stones in a spectrum of light. PJ is moving as though he were hypnotised. He walks into the circle of light. Goosebumps prickle your flesh, and a chill goes down your spine. Aliens. Aliens. You don't know what to do. All you know is that you've never been this afraid before. So, folks, if you follow PJ into the circle, turn to page 4. If you run back to the camp and get some help, turn to page 80. So, do we go in or do we not? And for people who weren't here at the beginning of the stream, this is the cover of Journey to Stonehenge. You're the star of the story. Choose from 19 possible endings. Choose your own adventure, number 35. Look at that for an illustration. So, do we go in or do we go and get some help? Any ideas? I'm aware that there's a slight delay on the stream, so obviously I'll fill the waiting with mumbling and sipping of water. Stay in the circle, okay? Into the circle. Okay, that's 2. I think what we'll do is we'll do best of 3 for these, won't we? Got to go in, okay? Thank you for the first time chats, you guys. Welcome to the story. No choice for soiling your sleeping bag out of fear. to be fair, it doesn't mention that you have a sleeping bag. PJ has a sleeping bag, but it doesn't mention that you do. Anyway, go into the circle. Page 4. Here we go. Not daring to leave PJ alone. Delay is long for you today. Okay. Well, I'll try and bear that in mind. Not daring to leave PJ alone, you follow him into the circle. As you near the centre of Stonehenge, you feel yourself being pulled by a force beyond your power. Inside the inner ring, the massive stones seem to hover over the ground. The singing is louder now. Hundreds of voices chant in a language you've never heard. Somehow, though, you feel that you can understand it. In front of the altar stone, you see 3 rocks, each about the size of a golf ball. Stones, then, not rocks, really, glowing with a rainbow-like light. As you follow PJ towards them, you sense that the voices are trapped. The voices are trapped within these rocks. PJ edges closer. Slowly, the stones lift from the ground, and the 2 ends of the stones begin to revolve around the middle one. There's a story here, if you live to tell it. Even so, it might be smart to just forget the story and run in the other direction. Just as you think this, though, PJ reaches for the middle stone. For a moment he stands motionless, then he holds his hand out to you. If you grab PJ's hand and try to pull him out of the inner ring, turn to page 51. If you grab one of the stones yourself, turn to page 7. Wow, okay. What do you think? Welcome, new chatters. If you enjoy Mr. Super Storytelling, consider joining the Discord too. We are a friendly bunch. Yeah, well, indeed, Charm and I, we are relatively friendly. So what do you think? Do we grab his hand and try and pull him out? Or do we grab one of the stones ourselves? Grab a stone. Okay, that's 1. Actually, I think I'm going with best of 3 on these, given the delay. I want my own stone. Thank you very much. Stone. Okay. Here we go. Turn to page 7. You reach, go for the stone. You reach for one of the end stones. It is cool in your hand, and when you touch it, your skin takes on its rainbow tint. Ooh. All around you, everything seems to be lifting, shaking, rising from the ground. Suddenly you are hurled into the air, whirling around the stones as if on a prehistoric merry-go-round. Wow. The voices continue to chant and sing, and the light becomes brighter and brighter. 1,000 different colours explode in your mind. You become dizzy. Then you lose consciousness. Turn to page 12. When you wake up, you feel cold and wet all over. Your face and hands are covered with mud, and your clothes have changed completely. Now you're wearing a large, bulky cloth tunic, woven from a very coarse material that feels like burlap. Your bare feet are clad in leather sandals. At your side, hanging from a leather thong, is a small pouch. You reach inside and feel the 3 stones / rocks. You scramble to your feet. You are standing in a muddy riverbank. Farther up the river, you see a group of men working. Some are pulling wooden pontoons loaded with enormous stones up onto the riverbank. Others are transferring the stones from the pontoons onto log carriers. Long braided leather straps are used in place of rope. The work appears clumsy, difficult, and grueling. 2 of the men break off from the work group and begin walking towards you. As they get closer, you can hear them talking. Although they are speaking in a strange language, you happen to understand everything that they say. I think this might be time travel. It might be. Pouches and thongs. Well, I think PJ had plans. So if you decide to ask the men for help, turn to page 21. If you decide to hide and try to overhear them, turn to page 104. So any ideas? No illustrations in this yet. As I say, I'll be showing the illustrations as they turn up. So we're going to ask them for help, or are we going to hide? So we've got 1 vote for hide. As I say, best of 3. Boom. Hide and talk to them. Okay, who's the deciding vote? Who's going to decide? I'm not really sure what I'd do, actually. Hide. Okay, we're going to hide. We're going to hide at 104. Okay, jumping all over the book. Look at that. 104. Okay, you say hide as well. Excellent. So we've got a majority for hide. As the men move closer, you jump behind a clump of bushes and hide. The Beaker tribe is camping nearby, one of the men says. They're all around us, the other answers. We must always be on the lookout. The 2 men pass, not seeing you. That night you watch from your hideout on the riverbank. Campfires dot the plain around Stonehenge. You smell meat cooking and hunger grips you. Suddenly, a hand clasps your shoulder. You whirl around to see a girl just about your age standing behind you. She points a spear directly at your throat. Are you with the Beakers? She asks. You have no way of knowing if the girl is with the Beaker tribe or with those who are building Stonehenge, but you do know that your life depends upon your answer. So, if you say that you are not with the Beakers, turn to page 61. If you say that you've never heard of the Beakers, turn to page 29. So you can't say that you are with the Beakers. What's safer? To say that you're not, or that you've never heard of the Beakers? It always makes me think of the Muppets, you know. Me, 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 me. Beaker people. So we've hidden, and now we've been caught by a girl with a spear. Never heard of them. Okay, that's vote number 1. Truth always. Okay. Riverbank at Stonehenge. I'd ask where that came from. There's a river. There's a river not too far from Stonehenge, so maybe it's just a dried up version of the river. Never heard of them. Okay. Let's go with never heard of them, shall we? I'd ask where that. Yeah. Let's go with never heard of them. So page 29. Oh, okay. Here we go. The girl's blade presses against your throat. I don't know who the Beakers are, you say. Has anyone seen that video of how one man could build Stonehenge? No. Intriguing. You have to put a link in the Discord, Nolan. The girl's blade presses against your throat. I don't know who the Beakers are, you say, but if you take that thing away, I'll tell you a secret. Just back away a few steps. The girl eyes you suspiciously, but does as you ask. Still holding the spear towards you, you pull the stones from your pouch. With these stones, I can travel through time. How ridiculous! It's just sort of, it's like he might as well start miming, to sort of wall of text incoming. Oh crikey! I can travel through time. I've travelled here by magic that's contained within these stones. All I really want to do is return to my time. Can you help me? The girl says nothing, prodding you with her spear. She leads you into a camp. You pass huts, campfires, and small families gathered in the outdoors. Finally, the girl leads you. Indeed, truth always, apparently. The girl leads you to a hut that seems to be her home. She brings you inside and then goes out to speak with her family. After a while, a man enters the hut. I am Caleb, father of Tin, the girl who brought you here, he says. Tin told me what you said to her on the riverbank, and I know nothing about the magic that you speak of, but there are many who would be interested in talking with you. Caleb invites you to stay with his family. You like them and decide to stay for a while. Okay, turn to page 94. That was quite easy. Caleb. Over the next few months, over the next few months, you live with Caleb's family. You catch dysentery. You you have to grow accustomed to all manner of new things in this environment. Life here is very different from the one you knew in the 20th century. Your life is centered around crops. To be fair, life is centered around crops to this day. But anyway, depending on the season, you and Tin plant, harvest, or trade them at the cursus. Oh, interesting. They're mentioning the Cursus Monument. That's pretty cool. That's not too far from Stonehenge. You make many new friends and feel as though you've found a home. You forget about your story for Tightwire newspaper because you've been away for months. The toilets are atrocious. Yeah, dear diary, the toilets are atrocious. You nearly forget about the 20th century entirely. One day, years after your arrival, there is a great deal of excitement at the cursus. What's going on? You ask Caleb. The astronomers have predicted that the moon will darken tonight, Caleb answers. It is a time of high magic at the stone ring. Remember the magic I told you about when I first came here, you ask. Yes, I do, he answers. And you are right to think that tonight. You will be able to travel through time. You are welcome to stay with us, but I will understand if you want to go back to your home. Turn to page 98. Lever the stone by digging a pit at one end. Place logs into the other end. Yeah, no, I think I have seen diagrams along those lines. Yeah. Stonehenge, honestly, Stonehenge. Now then, we are. Oh Oh no, I've forgotten where I'm meant to be heading to. Does anyone know what page number I said? I think it was 96. Was it 94? No, 94. Turn to page 98. There you go. We're fine. We're fine. Oh. You spend the rest of the day considering your decision. Finally, you talk with Tin. We are very good friends, Tin says, but I have often thought about what it would be like to be you. I myself would like to go back to my time. That is where you came from, and where your destiny will always be. That night, as the Earth's shadow crosses the moon, you turn to Caleb, Tin, and their family. Don't blame me. Thank you all very much. I'll never forget you, you tell them before you begin crying. You walk towards the centre of the ring, and there you place on the ground the 3 stones that brought you to this time. PJ apparently is just evaporated, I guess. Who knows where PJ is? You've been here for years. You haven't spotted him once. There you place the stones on the ground, the centre of the ring. The magic begins again. You take one last look back and begin to travel through time towards the 20th century. The end, apparently. Now, if you want, we can go back, to having landed in Stonehenge on the Riverbank. We can make a different choice about what we say. So, page 16. We can maybe approach the 2 men. Maybe. Next page. Go to page 4. Should be making a note of some of this. Again, yes. Grab PJ's hand. Page 7. 12. Yeah, let's talk to the people this time, I think. Yeah, there you go. So if you decide to ask the men for help, go to page 21. Let's go there. So 21. You walk toward the 2 men. Please, I'm far from home and lost. Can you help me? You call out. One of the men looks at you with amazement. Then his surprise turns to sharp anger. He yanks a dagger from his belt. Beaker, he yells. You know what beaker means, and you know enough to turn and run. We've found a beaker, he yells. You race away, leaving the men far behind. Breathless, you cut inland to a nearby forest where you follow a rutted path. The path leads to a clearing dotted with small fires. Night is falling, so you stop by the clearing and watch people camped within. There seems to be one family to each fire. Each group has its own meal, and each person has his own thick stone mug. Stone mug. Interesting. They didn't. Okay. Stone mug. Suddenly, you begin to laugh. Of course, these people are drinking from beakers. The word you use for containers in a chemistry lab. Perhaps they will be more help than the others who chased you. You enter the beaker camp, and this time using a different strategy than you did with the 2 men on the riverbank rushing into the camp. You yell, "Help! The people near the stone ring, they're trying to kill me! They're after me! Ah!" Turn to page 99. Boop. A beaker man comes up to you and leads you to his campfire. I am Soren, he says, and this is my family. You ask them about their tribe and about the people building the monument. We are of the Beaker tribe. Maybe they mean stoneware, possibly. I think maybe from a distance it looks like stone mugs, but actually it's beaker pottery. The men you saw are huntsmen, Soren explains. The huntsmen took control of the great stone ring from a gentle tribe led by the priestess of the moon. Of the moon. They are now using its great power to make war on others. Now they are fighting with our tribe because we will not give our food to their chief. Many other tribes give them food out of fear, but we refuse to be afraid. Turn to next page. lots of work. Yeah, it would be lots of work to have one person build Stonehenge, wouldn't it? As Soren continues to speak, others gather around him. We are the nomads who believe every family must raise its own food, making its own goods, and then gathering to trade. We also believe, as others do not, in burying our dead alone instead of in large graves of many people. This is sort of true, actually. If this is the late Stone Age, late Neolithic. At this, we believe that we live our lives alone, and so we must go to our rest alone. At this, he pauses. I am afraid that tomorrow many from both our tribes will go to their rest, he says sorrowfully. I thought others gather around him. Oh, sorry, that's still Soren. I thought it was a group of people. We are nomads, they go, who believe every family in every family raising its own food, making its own goods, and then gathering to trade. We also believe, as others do not, in burying our dead alone instead of in large graves of many people. We believe that we live our own lives alone, and so we must go to our own rests alone. At this he pauses. I am afraid that tomorrow many from both our tribes will go to their rest, he says sorrowfully. As Soren talks of the battle ahead, you begin to grow restless. This is much more than you bargained for when you first came into the camp. You wonder if there's a way to avoid a battle and still protect yourself from being killed in a case of mistaken identity. That's a fair point. If you stay in the Beaker camp, turn to page 78. If you move on, turn to page 77. So we're going to stay in the Beaker camp, or we're going to move on? What do we think? Any ideas? Soapstone. I suppose you could make a cup out of soapstone. It's quite a soft substance, relatively speaking. We're going to stay with the Beaker people. We're going to move on, possibly. Okay, so that's one vote. As I say, best of three. Should I stay or should I go? We're going. Okay, right. Turn to page 77. Let's move on. Should I stay or should... No, I shouldn't risk copyright strike, should I? I think you are a good people, you tell Soren. But I just don't believe fighting is going to help you. I'm going to travel on. The next morning, Soren leads you to the edge of the Beaker camp. Take good care of yourself, he says. Then he turns back to his people. You wind your way deeper into the forest, but before you lose sight of the Beakers, you stop. The Beaker camp is filled with chaotic activity. The men and women are painting their faces, playing drums, attaching sharp flint and bronze blades to spears, practicing combat moves with their daggers. You remain hidden and watch as they gather to march toward Stonehenge. As they march, you follow from a distance. The Beakers form a line directly in front of the huntsman's fortress and charge forwards. Turn to page 19. Oh, we have a picture. I'll show you the picture in a second. The battle over Stonehenge is quick but bloody. With their solid formation and crowded charge, the Beakers are an easy target for the defending huntsmen. Many Beakers die, and the survivors soon call for retreat. In the afternoon sun, an uneasy quiet settles over the area. Then, as the sun dips into the horizon, the Beakers are back. With incredible fierceness, they storm Stonehenge from every side. This time they catch the huntsmen unawares, and by surprise, they drive them from the monument. As night falls, you remain on the hill overlooking Stonehenge. What hill overlooking Stonehenge? Is there a hill? I don't think there's a hill. Is there it? Anyway, don't think about it too much. Yeah, the hill overlooking Stonehenge. Erosion. It's fine. Overlooking Stonehenge, and watch the Beakers prepare the funeral ritual for their dead. They build an enormous fire and cremate the bodies of the fallen soldiers. When the fire has consumed the bodies, the Beakers take the bones of the dead and bury them in holes surrounding Stonehenge. Finally, into each hole they place the pieces of the dead person's broken beaker, as if the vessel had somehow held the person's soul. Artistic license, absolutely. Watching this ritual, you begin to sense the power that Stonehenge has for these people. Here is where they have placed their hearts and souls. Here is where their dead come to rest, and where the living come to sense the harmony of all life. And that's quite a nice little description, actually, of Stonehenge. Here's the battle of Stonehenge. Oh, quite violent. You can see someone there raising their dagger in the background. That kind of thing. Turn to page 22. Okay. When the ceremony has ended, you emerge from your hiding place and walk to Stonehenge's inner ring. You remove the 3 stones from your pouch and prepare to time travel again. Holding the stones in your hand, you take one more look around, trying to remember all that you see. There is more than a simple news story here. You could devote your life to telling the story of the world that you have seen. The end. There's another ending there. Oh, blimey. Now, I suppose the only other option in terms of branching, well, I suppose there's the branching at the camp. You could stay with the beakers, but maybe die. We could go all the way back and we could tell the girl on the riverbank that you're not a beaker, as opposed to you've never heard of the beakers. Where are the druids? Where are the druids? That's one thing, one saving grace here, actually, is that there aren't any druids. Although there are druids on the front of the thing. And PJ's still missing. PJ's still missing. Anyway. It's almost, Charmanar, it's almost as though this book was written by Americans for Americans in the mid-80s. I think this I think that might be the case. Do we want to... Let's go back to the girl. So we run away and listen to the men instead of approaching them, because they chase you away anyway. So that's 104. This is part of the fun of Choose Your Own Adventure books, actually, isn't it? If you say you are not with the beakers, turn to page 61, it says. Let's go to 61. So here we are. All you want is to get that spear away from your throat. When Stonehenge was cool. No, I'm not with the beakers, you answer. Then who are you with? The girl demands. I've never seen you before. I'm just a traveller, you say. I'm lost. Please let me go. I will let you go this time, she says. But if I ever see you again, I will kill you. Wow. You scurry down the riverbank for about a mile. When you feel certain you haven't been followed, you head back towards Stonehenge. Standing in the monument, the moon glowing above, you remove the stones from your pouch and approach the altar stone. You lay the stones on the ground and watch as the colours appear. The stones rise from the ground, and the singing begins. Turn to page 66. Oh, what's going to happen? Oh, the end. Suddenly, you are thrown to the ground. Looking up, you see the girl. She has been following you. You leap to your feet and try to push her away, but she's stronger than anyone you've ever fought before. She throws you to the ground again, grabs the middle stone with tremendous speed. She is hurled into the air. You watch helplessly as she disappears into time. And now, you are trapped. The end. Dun, dun, dun. So I don't know. Do we tell the beaker people that we will fight with them? Would that be the way to go? Possibly. I mean, there's definitely more going on here. I mean, PJ turns up in one of these pictures. We must find PJ. We must find PJ. Where's PJ gone? We won't regret it, he says, honestly. So let's go. Let's see if we can find. I think we're later on in the book, aren't we? I mean, it's Soren, isn't it? The PJ is a lie, apparently. Yeah, she is screwed. Yeah, she's been thrown back through through time. Let's see. Nope. Nope. Try to nope. I'm trying not to read too much of what the options are. There's a race to run apparently at one point. Merlin turns up. Oh my goodness. Okay. Where's the page? Nope. 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 Not ask the men for help. Nope. How can I be missing this page? Never leave a man behind. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. PJ, where did he go? What happened to him? The stories so far don't seem to be all that much fussed with where PJ ended up, unfortunately. Beth, nope. Nope. Come on now, where are you? If I thought this through, I would have made a note of certain key pages as I was going. Soren, looking for Soren. I don't think she would want to hunt mammoth at that point. There weren't any mammoth around in Britain to hunt. No, I think PJ did time travel. I just need to find where on earth Soren's gone. You wouldn't think in 100 and something pages they could hide quite so well. Not with the beakers. Hang on, I'll go from the guys in the riverbank and go forward from there. It's a very effective way of making sure that you can't ruin the story for yourself by having it's a very, even within these hundreds or so pages, it's hard to keep track of everything. So go 21, from 21 to 99. Yeah, I thought it was at the back of the book. 99, next page. Yep. If you stay with the Beaker Camp, turn to page 78. Thanks for reviewing the accuracy of your joke in real time. I'm going to start uploading pictures of mammoth and Discord. Yeah, mammoth chat. Stay in the Beaker Camp, turn to page 78. Okay. You remain in the Beaker Camp. The next day, you watch as they prepare for battle. Their weapons and plans are primitive, and you can tell that many will be wounded or die in the planned head-on attack. I can sit here and watch you prepare for this slaughter, you tell Soren. But let me... No, I can't sit here. I can't sit here and watch you prepare for this slaughter, you tell Soren. Let me show you how you can protect yourselves better. Man moths. You teach them some battle tricks that only a person from another time could know. Slightly patronizing, but okay. You inspect their weapons and then show them how to make bows and slingshots. They already knew how to make bows, thank you very much. And they definitely knew how to make slingshots. How to form lines for loading and firing, and how to use strategy instead of rushing in a crowd towards Stonehenge. Because these people were thick, obviously, because they're from the Neolithic. When the Beakers, or late Neolithic, early Bronze Age, when the Beakers are ready to march into battle, Soren approaches you. We have decided that you should lead us. You know this could be dangerous, but you accept the assignment anyway. Wow. So we are breaking the prime directive. If this were Star Trek, exactly. He's 15. Well, no. PJ's 15, but this is a newspaper. He writes. you write for the Tightwire magazine, a newspaper written by and for kids, by, for, and about kids all over the world. And that is you. So that's you, and you're telling them battle tricks that these primitive people, unlike exactly civilized modern humans, they just don't know these things. The Beakers descend from their camp in the forest and surround the huntsman's village. No longer a fortress, apparently. This is a village at Stonehenge. You lead the charge as spears, arrows, rocks, and pellets fly all around you. Suddenly you feel a sharp pain. Your leg has been hit by a spear. You can no longer walk. You lie on the ground while battle rages around you. Oh dear. It says turn to page 24, but there is an image. There's a picture. This is the battle. I think that's you having been maybe been hit by a spear on the ground in the middle there. There we go. Anyway, turn to page 24 and... Oh, a beaker girl picks you up. And in the middle of the battle, a beaker girl picks you up and takes you to a nearby hillside. Another one of those hillsides, mythical hillsides in the Salisbury Plain. There she binds your wounds, gives you something to drink, and eases your pain, and returns to the fighting. You watch the battle raging, content at seeing many of your strategies are working. You feel very close to these people at this moment, and you wish earnestly for their victory. And here she is. She is binding your wounds, making sure that you're okay, before she returns to battle. I used to be an adventurer like you, and then I took an arrow to the knee. But of course, we didn't know about arrows until you arrived. The battle rages on, and in the dwindling moments of the day, you have been told the beakers. You have told the beakers to wait until the sunlight is just fading to make their last, most powerful attack on the huntsman. And this is what they do. The beakers fight valiantly, using their spears, bows and arrows and slingshots, and eventually the beakers invade Stonehenge, running the huntsman out. Over the next few days, your leg heals under the careful eyes of the beakers. Again, meep, 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 meep. You get to know Lura, not Laura, Lura, the girl who first looked after you a little better. I have no home of my own, she says quietly. My family died many months ago in a battle with the huntsman. My home and family, you say, are far, far away in time and space, in the Americas. You tell Lura of the story of your trip through time, and as you explain, Lura's eyes become wide with excitement. Turn to page 34. Okay, Lura. Yeah, it's Lura. Lura. 34. Turn to page 34. Oh, yeah. Will you take me back with you? Lura asks. I can get you to Stonehenge if you will. You agree to take Lura to the 20th century with you, but not before explaining that she will probably have a difficult time living in modern society. Having mansplained your way through the implications of time travel, that night you bring the stones out and wait for them to absorb the power of the moon. Soon the light begins to change and the singing comes from the stones. Lura grasps your hand, and the two of you wait for the stones to rise and begin spinning. When they do, reach for the middle of you reach for the middle one, and you and Lura are pulled into the rushing forces of time. As you look down at the beakers, tears come to your eyes. You will miss these strong, independent people, but you and Lura have a great adventure ahead of you. There you go. Mansplain blockchain to her, exactly. Become a blockchain bro. I think the one of the main choices that we have left actually is either to grab PJ's hand and try and pull him out, and maybe by grabbing him we'll hold on to PJ, or actually just go and get help right at the beginning of the story. So what shall we do? Shall we Shall we go and get help, or shall we hold on to PJ's hand, having not gone to get help at the beginning of the story? That's true, actually. Yeah, we're having shortages. If you know how to hunt animals, then I like this ending, despite the potential. Well, it was quite romantic. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's also interesting how, and this often happens. It's in anthropology. It's the it was criticised, I think, in the 80s and 90s, looking back at how people used to write about people. This notion of the noble savage. So, they're primitive. They need you to explain battle tactics to them. They need you to invent the bow and arrow for them. Apparently, several thousand years after the fact, that it's already been invented by these people. But despite that patronising kind of savage sort of description, as you're going back through time, you see them and you think of them as being strong, independent people. So they are noble savages. They're noble, simple people, and it's a weird perspective to have, but it's one that I think persists to this day, actually, in that sense. Yeah, well, actually, no. It depends. It depends. There are some potential Upper Paleolithic bows, but certainly early Mesolithic. Or no, sorry, during the Mesolithic. Right. Okay. So we'll pull him out, Mr. Soup. Oh, Mr. Soup. Oh, ooh. Yeah. Let's pull PJ out of the ring. Let's see if we can rescue him from the hypnotized state that he is in. Turn to page 51. PJ has approached the ring. No, not even in Africa. In Europe. There are bows in the Mesolithic. I've forgotten what it's called now, but it's a very famous, I think, yew wood bow in Germany. You grab PJ's hand and stare. The two of you have taken on the same rainbow tint that's in the rocks. You feel trapped, unable to escape the force pulling you in to Stonehenge. Screw PJ. That's what he wants. Suddenly, you and PJ are hurled into the air. You whirl around the stones as if you're on some kind of crazy merry-go-round. The chanting grows louder, the light becomes brighter, and PJ's hand is slipping away. 1,000 different colours have taken over your mind. You become dizzy, and the colours black out. Turn to page 55. A large, bearded man. Let's Google it on the stream. Okay, let's. I'll have a quick look. Bow and arrow origin. I mean, Wikipedia. History of the bow and arrow. The oldest known are some African sites. In Eurasia, bow and arrow appears in the Upper Paleolithic, and has been shown in places like Sri Lanka to 48,000 years ago. The one that I was thinking of, if we can find, is I think it's the Home Guard. That's 9,000 BCE. That wasn't no, that's Denmark. If I can, obviously we're halfway through a story. Maybe I'll have to come back to that after we finish the story. Large bearded man. Just how old are you, Mr. Yeah. Oh, there we go. The earliest definitive remains of bow and arrow from Europe are possible fragments from Germany found at Mannheim Vogelstang, dated 17,500 to 18,000 years ago. And at Stelmore, dated 11,000 years ago. So there you go, 20,000 years ago, and that's the better part of 15,000 years before Stonehenge. So there you go. Turns out the archaeologist, Nolan, was correct. Anyway, a large bearded man shakes you awake. It seems to be morning. As you regain your senses, clip that. Yeah. You see the man is wearing a rough burlap tunic. Everyone's wearing burlap. Crikey. It is older, yeah. It is surprisingly old technology, to be fair. Um, but it's nonetheless something that these people would not need you to invent for them. Tools made of wood and stone hang from his thick leather belt. He speaks to you in very guttural tones that somehow sound familiar. Confused, you stand up slowly. Only then do you notice your body and clothing have changed completely. You've become someone else. Your body has changed, not just your clothes. Your body has changed in this version. Look, there he is. There's the bearded man, and you no longer look like you. Crikey. Core crikey, blimey. Anyway, turn to page 85. Shots fired. Arrows loosed, you mean? Arrows loosed. Yeah, 85, okay. You try to walk, but your head is ringing. Above you is a large platform made of logs. Surrounding two of the enormous Stonehenge slabs. Someone help Ulrich, the man calls. He speaks in the same language you heard coming from the rocks, and you're amazed that you can understand everything he says. Several young people help you to your feet. Something rattles in the pouch tied around your waist. The archaeologist was correct. I said that with love. This is a fun live stream. I'm not. Ha ha ha. La 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 la. Reaching in, you feel the three stones that you brought with you to this place. Here are your tools, a young girl says, handing you a leather pouch. We can finish carving the top of the stone tomorrow. You've had a nasty fall. A boy your age holds out his hand to you. He has bright red hair, an impish grin. Come, Ulrich, he says. I will walk with you down the road. And here's the image. They are in fact constructing Stonehenge. So you are apparently you've literally changed body and apparently clothes into someone that these people recognise. Crikey. Stealing this to use in my CL, thank you, in my classes. We should just do Google search streams. That could be interesting. Well, speaking of which, actually, we did. What was it called? There was a game that Mrs. Soup bought us recently, where you have to try and place events and inventions and people in timeline order based on your hand that's dealt to you. It's like a series of cards. Is it called Timeline? Is it called Timeline? It's a fun little travel game, actually. But I shared photos of it on the Facebook page, and I think on Twitter as well. So a Google stream would be similar to that, wouldn't it? In that sense. When did this happen? What is the scaffolding for? I think what's going on there is that they're using it to sort of dress the stone. They talked about carving the top, didn't they? In the story there. So I think they're climbing up the scaffolding in order to get at it and get at the stones that are there, the megaliths that are there, and smooth them out. Go to the next page. Early colour photography using potato starch. Oh, that is interesting. As you walk from the monument, you see that Stonehenge is in a very late stage of construction. The altar stone stands within the inner ring, and the trilithons are being completed. Suddenly you remember PJ! Finally! Suddenly you remember PJ. Where is he? Well, Ulrich, your escort says when you reach the fork in the road, here is where I turn for home. I'll see you tomorrow. He seems to know where he's going, but you have no idea where you are. So you're just in someone else's body, it seems. If you tell the boy that you don't know where you are and risk him realizing that you're not Ulrich, turn to page 43. If you decide to bluff your way through the village, turn to page 13. What do you want to do? Shall we fess up now, or shall we try and bluff our way through through a village, which I'm not even sure. Presumably, these will these be huntsmen? What do we think? Bluff. Okay, that's vote number one. Bluff our way through, or just freak out the poor boy by saying, "I'm not me." Fake it till you make it. Okay, that's okay. All three. Bluff, bluff, bluff. This should be fun. Turn to page 13. I'm gonna put a marker at that point. I think, just because I feel as though this might go horribly wrong. There you go. I'm gonna put a marker just there. Charisma 10, speech level 100. So page 13. See you tomorrow, you call to the boy, and begin walking off along the dirt path that leads uphill through a forest. For some time you follow the path. Evening falls and it becomes quite dark. You turn around, but in the darkness you lose your way. You're no longer on the path leading back to Stonehenge. Finally, you find your way out of the forest and back to Stonehenge. Light is just beginning to break over the horizon. You've walked all night. As you enter the monument area, you hear voices. Two men standing talking. One is very tall with a thick red beard. Everyone's got red hair apparently. That's not remotely stereotypical. You're here, Charmanar. You're in the story, Mr. Redbeard. Redbeard tours. Thick red beard. The other man is short and wiry, wearing a heavy pouch at his side. They will attack us tonight, Osin. The tall man says, unless you can find some other way. An attack would be disastrous, Beltan. The huntsman would lose many lives. I am sure that if I were given more time, I could come up with a better way to defeat the priestess. Time is of the essence, proclaims Beltan. Once the priestess begins to hold her rituals here, the people will gather under her. Do not forget, we have been promised great wealth from the warlord of the huntsmen. If we can stop that from happening... Turn to page 76. Crikey. But will the huntsmen keep their promise? Osin asks. Without thinking, you shift on your weight and accidentally step on some loose rocks. Osin and Beltan look up at you. Well, Ulrich, Osin says, have you arrived early today to make up for the time you lost yesterday when you fell from the top of the stones? You nod, and as he continues to speak, perhaps Ulrich can help us with our problem. Of course, Beltan says, clapping his hands together. Why did I not think of that? A stone cutter with access to the priestess? Ulrich, how would you like to be paid handsomely for a very small, very important job? What kind of job, you ask? Why, as a spy, Osin answers. Crikey. Will Meryl be playing the role of the priestess? That's a good question. If you agree to spy for the men, 103. If you say... that you won't be a spy, turn to page 40. I don't know. Do we know what sort of realm we're entering here? What sort of political intrigue? Presumably these are... So one vote for spy from Charmanar, okay. So these are huntsmen who are trying to fend off the priestess and the beakers, I guess. The beaker people. From gathering at the monument. It's quite intense, the political intrigue in this story. Let's spy. Okay, that's two. 2 out of 3. We're going to spy for the men. Page 103 is where we head to. Okay. You say spy. Okay, that's 3 for spy. Excellent. Okay, you say to the men, I will spy for you on one condition. What would that be? Osin asks. That you stay close by me for my protection, you say. At this, Beltan laughs. Ha ha ha! A good deal, he answers. We will start in the priestess's temple. Whatever you hear, report back to Osin. You and Osin walk down the broad avenue to a group of wood and mud huts, a few hundred yards away from the monument. A thick fortress-like wall surrounds the small village. Osin thinks you know where you are going, but you very subtly allow him to show you the way by his movements. At the temple, a large stone and glass structure. At the temple, a large stone and glass structure. Okay. The guards allow you to pass inside. When you say you're working for the priestess, Osin waits outside. Turn to page 105. The guard leads you into a massive hall. There, sitting on a splendid throne of bronze and amber, is the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. I'll just about buy the bronze. And the amber, yeah, okay. She is arrayed in the finest silks and wearing bronze necklaces and medallions. Even more amazing is that seated right in front of her is a boy who looks just like PJ. That's true. Yeah, they could have tried. Yeah, they might be time travelers. We don't know just yet, do we? This is still a better story than Twilight. Before you can say a word, you are searched. The guard discovers your 3 stones and takes them away. Then the priestess dismisses the guard. Turn to page 101. Blimey, this is a bit intense, isn't it? 103. 101. You are not a stone carver, the priestess says. Oh, no, I'll say that again, sorry. You are not a stone carver, the priestess says, any more than you are than your friend here, with a nod to PJ. He is not a merchant, but I must congratulate both of you for having so successfully deceived my tribesmen. I myself had a similar experience, travelling through time. Well done, high five, whoever said that, excellent, well done, and living in other realities. The ground we stand on now is hallowed, she continues. The gods use it for their own purposes. You two must be part of their plans, and it is our duty to discover what those plans are. I want you to remain here as my guests today, and tonight we will test the powers of the moon with your being. Wow, crikey. And on these stones you brought with you. That night, the priestess summons you and PJ from your cell. Well, she might actually be sitting out there giggling. She's quite accustomed to my silly voices, to be fair. That night, the priestess summons you and PJ from your cell. If you truly have the power to travel in time, she says, handing the stones to you, I will allow you to go for free, but if you have lost this power, you will be killed as spies. I imagine, she says. Turn to page 89. Oh, okay. The 3 of you head towards the monument. In the centre of the inner ring, you lay the 3 stones on the ground. Slowly they absorb the moonlight and then take on the colourful hues that you saw when you first travelled through time. The stones lift from the ground, and the 2 end ones begin revolving around the centre stone. You grasp PJ's hand and reach for the middle. PJ hasn't said a blooming word. So, like... You grasp PJ's hand and reach for the middle stone. Better to stick with what we know, you say. You become dizzy and lose consciousness. When you wake up, you are sitting in the middle of Stonehenge. You stand up and see PJ not far away from you. His eyes are wide open, and you look on in amazement at his wide and open face. That can't have been real, says PJ. Suddenly you hear Joanne's voice. Where have you been? She cries. We thought you had died. You've been gone for 2 whole days. 2 days? You laugh. 2 days? More like 4,000 years. Ha 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 ha. Ho 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 ho. Ho 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 ho. Ha ha ha. The end. So yeah, 2 days. More like 4,000 years. And there we go. He's keeping very quiet, isn't he? He's keeping very, very quiet indeed. Okay, let's go back to that choice that I handily bookmarked. Tell the boy that you don't know where your home is. Let's tell him. I don't know. I'm not me. I'm not Ulrich. I am currently possessing your friend. Let's go to page 43. See what happens. I can't remember where my home is, you say to the boy in his language, of course. You tell to tell you the truth, I don't even remember my own name. Your name is Ulrich, the boy says. My name is Starn. We both live in this village and are working on the ring of the moon. Perhaps you have been hurt more seriously than we thought. I think we should go and see the healers in the priestess's temple. Yes, probably is more like 4 or 5. But, I mean, it's a cheesy ending to like almost like a sitcom, isn't it? More like 4,000. Or 4,000. Starn leads you back to the ring, to a group of wood and mud huts built at the side of Stonehenge. A fortress has been erected around these, and you have to pass through a group of guards on your way to the temple. A large building of stone and coloured glass. Inside the temple, Starn tells a group of women about your fall and loss of memory. They lay you on a slab of rock and take your tool pouch from you. You watch helplessly as they also remove the pouch holding the 3 stones. The healers begin to tend to your wounds. Yours is the second accident today, one of the healers tells you. Another boy fell and was hurt badly too. He's in the next room. In a flash, you realise the other boy could be PJ. You leap from the rock slab and rush to the next room, and there you find a boy just about PJ's size and age seated on the floor. Turn to page 14. PJ, you whisper. I can't believe it, PJ answers. We've been sent back through time, through those stones. We're occupying the bodies of 2 people from this time. Do you have the stones? The healers took them from me. We've got to get them back somehow. Just then, a stunningly beautiful woman enters the room. You'll be getting your stones back, she says, as soon as my astronomers finish studying them. Could also be JP. She holds her hands out to you. Welcome to the Ring of the Moon. I am the priestess of the Moon Tribe. You realize, of course, that you are not the first people to journey through time, through the power of the moon. Unfortunately, you've chosen a very bad time to do so. We are involved in a war with the Huntsmen, a tribe trying to destroy us and our ring. A war with the Huntsmen. So these are Beaker people, then? Are these Beaker people? Or are there three groups here? Destroyers in the ring. I would hope you can be saved from the fighting, but I am afraid I cannot ensure your safety. Page 20. Okay. Stig of the Dump made windows out of glass bottles. He was familiar with glass, and he was supposed to have been had something to do with Stonehenge, wasn't he? It's been a long time. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, has been a long time since I've read Stig of the Dump. Clearly, then, glass was just a thing. Suddenly you hear screaming and shouting outside. A guard rushes and yells, "The Huntsmen are attacking! Take your positions!" He rushes out from the room as quickly as he entered, with the priestess following him. What positions? Asks PJ. Beats me, you answer, but if we go out there, we'll get killed for sure. Let's hide. You and PJ take cover behind a large altar. The battle outside rages on for hours. Finally, the noise of fighting dies down. You and PJ come out of hiding and are met by an angry Starn. What cowards, he sneers. Don't you think I failed to notice that you never entered the battle? I should turn you into the guard right now, but I will give you one more chance. The Huntsmen have captured the priestess, and a raiding party is being formed to rescue her. You can either join it or stay here and defend the fortress. PG leans over and whispers in your ear, he thinks we're from this time. They say, he thinks we're from this time, he says. We'd better go along with him for now. You decide what we should do. But let's do something before... No, so you decide what we should do. But let's do something before he has our heads taken off, says PJ. I don't know why I'm doing lots of Southeast accents this evening. Incidentally as well, there was a picture of the priestess. So this is where she came into the room. You boys there, hello. I'm the priestess of the moon. Ooh. So she's been taken hostage, and we need to decide if we want to rescue her or not. If you join the raiding party, turn to page 63. If you choose to stay and defend the fortress, turn to page 87. What do you think? Authors in the late 20th century must have had access to secret ancient glass knowledge, or they read Journey to Stonehenge. That's a possibility. That's a distinct possibility. Yep, so raiding party, or are we defending the fortress? What do you think? She's cute. Let's rescue her. Okay. I mean, she's cute, but she's got that sort of, hello. Slightly. I don't think she's going to be all that thankful. Rescue. Okay, that's 2 votes for rescue. Let's go to page 63. Okay. 60, 62, 63. There we go. We'll join the raiding party, you say, looking at PJ and wondering if either of you will ever be able to make sense of this situation. Starn leads you in the direction of a group of men who are armed with spears, slings, and bronze shields. I did give her that weird voice, that's true. Yeah, good point. Fair play. The raiders leave the priestess's fortress and break into small bands. You and Starn travel into the forest on your own. After about a quarter of a mile, Starn spots the huntsman's camp. I really am a bit confused, because I thought the huntsmen were the people in the fortress who the Beaker people were attacking. But now apparently we have a group of people in the fortress attacking the huntsman's camp. Maybe the scenario shifts around depending on which branch you take. Maybe, I don't know. The camp is nothing more than a dozen tents made of animal skins. But there is one tent set off from the rest of the camp. That is where they have the priestess, Starn says. Wait here. I'll get the others. Before you can even argue, Starn is running away. You wait a while, and then, when Starn doesn't return, you carefully head back to the fortress. On your way, you meet PJ. The huntsmen have invaded the fortress, PJ tells you. The raiding party has been ordered back there. But I found out something else. The priestess, she has our stones, says PJ. If you try to rescue the priestess, you could be killed. But you could also be killed by fighting the huntsman and never get a chance to return to your own time. What shall we do? Shall we rescue the princess or return to the fortress? I mean, to me, it feels like a bit of a waste to come all this way and not try and rescue the princess. Priestess, princess. Honestly. Priestess. So, do we rescue the priestess? Okay, we've got 1 vote for rescue. Okay. The priestess with the weird voice. Because I think, returning back, for me, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's going to be all that much fun. But save. Okay, save the priestess. Let's go to 90. Okay, cool. Oh, wow. That's the picture. Looks like we managed to rescue her in some way. Your priestess is in another castle. Yeah, exactly. Yes. You and PJ agree to try and rescue the priestess. Reaching the huntsman's camps, you see several guards standing outside the tent that is set off from the rest of the camp. I bet that's where they're keeping her, PJ says. It is, you answer. Bending to pick up a rock, you each gather a handful of rocks and throw them about 50 yards away. When the guards hear the rocks falling, they rush to see what's happening. PJ waits in the forest while you run into the tent, and inside you find the priestess. Her hands and feet are bound with thick ropes that apparently don't exist because people were using leather thongs earlier instead of rope. But anyway, thick ropes. Quickly you untie her, Follow me, you whisper. The two of you rush towards the forest, but not before two guards see you and set off in hot pursuit. Oh no, hot pursuit. Let's go to page 95. You and the priestess run deep into the woods. Small trees and branches snap at your face and ankles. The priestess points to your left. That way, she says. And they say, that way. Then they say, that way, she says. There's a secret trail. No one will find us there. We'll be safe until we reach the fortress. You follow the trail, hoping PJ's okay. You've almost reached Stonehenge when a band of huntsmen leaps from the brush. There's no chance to escape. They capture you and bring you both back to their camp. You and the priestess wait out the night, listening to the sounds of battle coming from the forest. The next day, the warlord of the huntsmen strides into the tent where you were being held. Well, priestess, he says, I have some bad news for you. Your beloved ring of the moon is now ours, and we must offer thanks to the sun. Ha ha ha! We have decided to honor you and your young friend with the privilege of being our first sacrifice. Tonight you will be burned, presumably because when we burn you, the sun will rise. I'm guessing. I don't know. Why would sun worshippers burn someone in sacrifice at night? I don't know. Anyway, that's the end. The end! You will be burned. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. So, that's page 95. Let's see, where were we? Joanne. See, I'm really curious about the 10 out of 10 for that voice. Oh, thank you. Well, I can't help but wonder, is there anything else where PJ says or does something a bit more substantial? Let's, instead of rescuing the priestess, let's go back to the fortress. Let's go to page 36. The night is dark and full of terrors. Indeed. 36. 36, okay. Let's go back to the fortress, you tell PJ. There's probably more safety in numbers. At the forest's edge, overlooking Stonehenge, you join Starn and the rest of the raiders. The huntsmen within the village are wreaking havoc. Families are being thrown from their homes as each hut is searched for valuables. Starn signals to a clump of bushes. When you reach him, he pulls back the branches to reveal a small but powerful catapult. Wow. We hid several of these some time ago, he said. When I give the signal, our tribesmen will take cover and we will fire the catapults. It will appear that there are many more of us out here than there really are. The huntsmen will flee, and if they believe that they're outnumbered, they will not return. You watch as Starn gives the same instructions to the other raiders. You wait, and then a sharp whistle pierces the air. Starn's signal. You see the tribesmen inside the fortress run for cover. You pull the rope holding the catapult and watch as your boulder hurtles towards the village. Look at that thing. Look at that. Full on, like, medieval catapult stuff. I suppose it's not beyond the realm of possibility to have a catapult, but crikey. Kill Jester. I know that it is a thing, but I can't remember. PJ used to go back to the beginning of the book where you choose to have nothing to do with him. Turn to page 31. Okay, here we go. In the village, the huntsmen are caught in a storm of rocks. Their ranks break in confusion as Starn leads a charge into the fortress. The huntsmen battle valiantly against the tribe of the moon. You fight your way through a band of soldiers until suddenly you find yourself face to face with their leader, the vicious warlord. With a blood-curdling scream, the warlord hurls a spiked metal ball, hopefully bronze. But again, we've got time travelers. It's fine. Spiked metal ball at you. Instantly you duck and hurl yourself at his legs. Tackling him, the warlord falls straight into Starn's extended spear. Oh my goodness. With the death of their warlord, the injured huntsmen retreat quickly. When the last of them has fled the village, you, PJ, and Starn turn and head back through the forest to rescue the priestess. Okay, cool. So we fought off the huntsman. Turn to page 35. Okay. Made of unobtainium. Oh, okay. The huntsman camp is empty. You begin to rush forward, though Starn tries to hold you back. You stump as you enter the tent Starn pointed out earlier. You're hit on the back of the head. With your last ounce of strength, you throw yourself into the tent where you find the priestess bound and gagged. You struggle to reach the priestess, but the pain in your head is too great for you to move. Looking into her eyes, you feel as though she is trying to thank you for your brave attempt to save her. Outside, PJ is yelling for Starn. He screams as the huntsmen overtake him. You tried, but it's too late now. The end. Wow, this is a brutal book in so many ways. Wow. Okay. And the thing is, there are definitely things happening that at some point we have to try and figure out a way to get there. There are people, for example, flying through the air and entering doors in trees. Yes, press F to pay respect. Absolutely. There's a foot race at some point, and this intrigues me actually because the foot race, you can see in the background there that someone is wearing some deer antlers on their head, much like the antlers that were found at the Mesolithic site of Star Kar. That's kind of cool. There's a couple of other pictures. There's a guy running through the forest to attack you. Although I think no, we haven't read that one. And then this picture here, I keep on seeing, but I'm not sure how we get there. Maybe you do. This had nothing to do with PJ at the beginning of the story. But yeah, it's all about the altar stone, and there we have a someone at the stone there. And then also, I want to know how Merlin enters the story. I know. There's loads more to discover here, but I feel as though we'd have to make some very drastically different choices. I mean, shall we? What happens? Shall we see what happens if we go to? If we turn back for help, shall we? So page 6, page 8. Or if we, well, should we go back for help, or shall we? We can, if we wanted to, decide to stay in the guest tent instead of staying with PJ. Shall we stay in the guest tent, or shall we stay with PJ but go back for help when he's awoken, hypnotized in the middle of the night? What do you guys think? Excuse me. Ditch PJ. PJ's crap. Go back to the guest tent. Okay. That's 2 votes for the guest tent instead of staying with PJ. So that's page 56. Thanks for the advice, you say to Joanne. This is when she's like, are you sure you want to stay with PJ? Show me to the guest tent. Joanne brings you to a small tent tucked between hers and the supply tent. You might get asked to help with some of the chores here, she says, but I think it'll suit your purposes. By the end of the day, some of the chores have been turned into an endless streak of tasks. When you get to bed, you can barely keep your eyes open. You quickly fall into a deep sleep, and you dream. A young man dressed in long flowing robes of fine silk beckons you, calling, "Get up and come to the altar." I need your help. Hmm. Then a hand grips your shoulder and shakes you. You see Joanne standing above your bed. Hey, wake up! You were screaming in your sleep. What is it? A nightmare? Jaws go back and get killed with PJ. Okay, turn to page 60. Starting over from the beginning, you tell Joanne about your dream. With every detail, her eyes become wider and she looks more excited. By the time you finish, Joanne seems to be in a trance. Abruptly, she snaps out of it and laughs nervously. Just like I said, she mumbles, hurrying to get out of your tent. I love dreams. They're so crazy. With that, she's out of your door like a shot. You sit up in your bed, puzzled by Joanne's hasty exit. Perhaps Joanne knows something that you don't. You get up out of your cot and walk out into the cool night. The camp is silent. Looking around at the dark tents, you begin to feel foolish for believing in this dream business, but there's a nagging doubt in your mind. If you walk towards the altar stone, as the dream suggested, go to page 23. If you return to your tent and go back to sleep, it's page 65. So should we go to the altar stone? No PJ at this point. We're in the guest tent. We've had a dream. Is Joanne the priestess? Well, that's a good question. Yeah, so maybe she's been sort of all along. Joanne is Merlin. Oh, that's good. So do we go or do we stay? Do we go or do we stay? Or do we go back to bed as well? Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Okay, well I'm gonna bookmark this just in case. So go back to sleep. We've got one vote for go back to sleep. That would be page 65. Were that the case? Sleep is always a good option. Okay, well let's go back to sleep then. You go back to sleep, and again you dream of the young man. Come now to the altar stone, he says. This time you wake and leave your tent. They got you. They got you either way. Not quite sure what is dream and what is real, you walk sleepily through the camp until you reach the centre of Stonehenge. There, standing in front of you at the altar stone, is a young man you dreamed of. If you've really stopped dreaming at all. Who are you, you ask, amazed that your voice sounds so clear. Perhaps this isn't a dream after all. And there we are. We're at the altar stone. So, yep, this is the person that apparently we've gone to meet. Even weirdos leave people alone when they're sleeping. This is true. Go to page 67, apparently. I called you because you are a writer, and I have a story, the young man begins. Perhaps you have heard of me. I am called Merlin. Years from now, when I am much older, I will befriend a young boy named Arthur, and our days will be recorded. For now I am a wizard in the court of Aurelius, Lord of Northern Britain. It is for him that I created what you now call Stonehenge, this place of deep power. But Aurelius now plans to use the ring of stones for his own evil ends, and not for the reasons that I built it. They do look a bit Native American, don't they, actually, they're in that picture there? Yeah. Or he did. Yeah, a little bit. But why did you come to me, you ask? Why did you come to my time? Merlin sighs. To tell you the truth, I'm not very good at this time travel. I just ended up here. I'm pretty sure we can get to my time safely, though. Will you come back with me? Turn to page 38. Mystery solved. Merlin built Stonehenge on his own. Nolan already told us this. Told us how. You're right, Nolan. Nolan was right. The Nolan was right all along. It was Nolan all along. Time travel. What a story this could make. You realise. You nod to Merlin. And the next thing you know, you're standing in an open field. You recognise it as Stonehenge, but a very early stage of Stonehenge. Only the earthen mound and some of the holes have been completed. All around, people are working. Some at the edge of the plain are dragging enormous stones. Closer to the monument, masons are carving the stones. Other workers are struggling to erect trilithons. This is what I wanted to show you, Merlin begins. Everything you see here, from the ring to the earth to the stones, and even the things that you cannot see, such as the earth beneath our feet, and what is far below it, contributes to the power of this place. It is a place that can tap into the power of the universe, and it is stored on this planet, a power that can transcend space and time. But it must not fall into the wrong hands, and that is precisely what I fear is going to happen now. At this, Merlin hangs his head. Wizards are born with great powers, he tells you, but they must grow into them. I'm still so young. Clip that, Nolan. But at least you're here to set the record straight for history. Go to the next page. At that moment, a short man in a cloth tunic approaches Merlin. Aurelius demands your presence, he barks. Merlin turns to you, looking worried and flustered. You must not be seen by Aurelius, he warns. Wait for me here. I will return shortly. Merlin walks away, leaving you to watch the hustle and bustle around Stonehenge. Nolan was right. Got it. Hours pass. Night falls. The workers go home to their small huts in a nearby forest. You are left alone, hungry, thirsty, and a little scared. As the sun sets, the air becomes colder. You wonder if Merlin has forgotten you. If you search for Merlin, go to page 93. If you remain where you are, stay on page 48. Do we search for Merlin, or do we stay where we are? What do you think? Any ideas? I'm a little bit disappointed that no one clipped Merlin's monologue there. But I suppose Nolan was right, was the more significant statement. Search for Merlin. Okay, that's one vote. Again, best of three. I mean, so far, people have been in fairly consistent agreement with each other, actually. Finally found Merlin. Let's not let him go. That's a good point, yes. Just a second. There was a slight need for a belch there. Okay, let's go find Merlin. Okay, turn to page 93. Off we go in search of Merlin. I'm only joking. Obviously, this thing will be being uploaded on the YouTube channel in relatively near future, so it will be there for other people to enjoy. Walking away from Stonehenge, you search for Merlin in a small gathering of huts at the edge of the plain. Without warning, an armed young man carrying a spear approaches you menacingly. Get out of here, he snarls as he pushes his spear toward you. Leave now, before you're jailed. I'm looking for Merlin, you tell him. The young man stops for a moment and takes a long, careful look at you. I'm Malcolm, son of Aurelius, lord of northern Britain. Perhaps you should come with me. He sounds a little more friendly now, and you hope that he'll take you somewhere with food and water. Yeah. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Mom. Turn to page 96, apparently. Okay. 95 and 96. Malcolm leads you to a large hut. This is my home, he says, as you enter through thick oak doors? Thick oak doors? Is that control video with I'm just better than you, Charm, and I'll comment it on YouTube? That one is. Yes, that is. Yes, I think I've uploaded that one. Feel free to look for that. Thick oak doors. The room is simple. The room is simple, but has thick oak doors. Also, Merlin in the Neolithic. Anyway, whatever. The room is simple: a table, chairs, 2 hay mattresses on the floor, and a fireplace. Have a seat, he tells you. Would you care for something to drink? That would be great, you answer. Malcolm leads you into the hut and goes out. A short while later, he returns with a mug of steaming liquid. As he hands it to you, you glance at his eyes. Something is very wrong. He's waiting too eagerly for you to take a sip. Go to the next page. And the next page is quite simply a picture and 2 choices. Do we drink from the mug? Turn to page 72. Or do not drink from the mug? Turn to page 49. Didn't they have big communal forts? By the Iron Age, they certainly did. So just before the Romans arrived, that sort of time. But at this point, people weren't really living in forts or in those sort of hill fort type monuments. Drink if it is soup. It is not. Well, I didn't say if it is soup. It just says it's steaming liquid. Yeah, a mug of steaming liquid. So I don't know. I'll take that as a vote for drink. But again, it's best of 3. So the first to 2. Do we drink or do we not drink? And I'll happily bookmark this one and come back to it if needs be. Don't drink it. Okay. So who's going to be the casting vote? Yeah. It's piss. yeah, he's gone outside, peed in a cup and come back. Oh dear. That would be a genuine shame. But I think you'd be able to smell it, wouldn't you? You'd know what was going on. Do not drink. Okay, do not drink. So 49. But I'll bookmark it just in case. So 49. You place the mug on the table. Go ahead, Malcolm urges. Drink. No, I don't think so, you say, pushing the mug across the table. Malcolm glares at you and storms out of the hut. You look out the door and see that you've been left under guard. The night passes slowly. Finally, you get an idea. Guard, you call out. Are you thirsty? He looks at you suspiciously and then turns to enter the hut. As he walks through the door, you trip him and run for your life into the village. You sneak around the village all night. Bookmarking your choice is very passive aggressive. No, it's just, I think it's sensible. Sneaking around the village all night looking for Merlin. As sun rises, you head toward the forest at the edge of the plain. You haven't gone far when one of Aurelius's guards stops you. What are you doing here? He asks. Luckily, he doesn't recognize you as a person who had been placed under guard. He signals to several other guards, and they bring you to a group of people sitting at a large cart. It's just cautious, just cautious. A large cart. A woman leads over to you and whispers, "They're looking for spies. You'd better stall. Tell them you're a workman or a traveller." So, do we say that we are a workman, or do we say that we are a traveller? Those are the choices. Workman, page 57. Traveller, page 59. I'm thinking you're cancelled. Oh no, I've been cancelled. Workman or traveller? I don't know. Which is the safer option? Thing is, if one of them requires you possibly to have to demonstrate knowledge and basic building prowess. That's true, actually. Nolan he took us down a very dark path with that strange PJ guy. To be fair, though, PJ, I think we spent the night with PJ. So traveller, okay, good choice, Nolan. Interesting. Then again, if you're a traveller, they may ask you where you've come from, which is a fair point, actually. Wait, then work. No, you can't second guess yourself. You said travel, so you're suggesting traveller. That's well, one vote. We need the best of 3 in order to proceed. We think, what would a druid do? A druid wouldn't build Stonehenge. That's for sure. Workman, curious to see if they do. If you do indeed have to prove it. Okay, cool. So travel, work. Who's going to be the deciding vote? Come on, Charminar. You must have an opinion. Rigged. Indeed, rigged from the start. You think workman? Okay. Page 57. I won't bookmark that one. There you go. 56, 57. I'm a stonemason. I'm looking for work at the monument, you tell the guard. Immediately you are placed on a work crew to cut elaborate designs into stones. You've never really done stone cutting before, and it's hard work. Using a small axe, you spend the day chipping away at an enormous boulder. Copying the designs of a mason next to you. While you're working, you overhear the foreman telling one of the masons, Aurelius is sending that crazy wizard Merlin away. Perhaps now we can get this thing built and move on. You know that if Merlin is sent away, you may never return to your own time. Just then a voice behind you calls, Quick, follow me! You turn to see Merlin, and the guards allow you to go with him. Everything has gone wrong. And they say, everything has gone wrong, says Merlin. So that's Merlin's voice. Everything has gone wrong. I've lost my place now. Hang on. If you know Merlin's... Yes, Merlin explains, I cannot even show you what I brought you back in time for. You must return to your own time now. Are you ready? Okay, interesting. Go to next page. Oh, you nod and say goodbye to Merlin. You feel yourself fading away through time. Your body becomes light, and everything around you turns dim. Suddenly, the environment around you begins to take shape. The light becomes stronger, and you feel your body becoming heavier. You're sitting on a horse, dressed as a knight. A crowd is shouting all around you. In your hand, you're holding a long, heavy lance. You look up. About 100 yards ahead of you, the biggest horse and rider you've ever seen charges towards you. Your horse begins to gallop. Oh no! What has Merlin done? You're in the middle of a medieval jousting match. Crikey, we really have gone off piste, haven't we, with medieval being chucked into it. Anyway, there you go. The end. In a jousting match, presumably you're just about to get your head knocked off by a very experienced jouster. A jousting opponent. Now, I'm curious. Shall we... Well, Merlin did turn out to be a bit of a disappointment, didn't he? Put you in danger. Yeah. What a tool. Let's drink. Shall we? Let's drink the whatever it is, the pot of steaming liquid, the mug of steaming liquid. Turn to page 72. Pardon me. Your thirst gets the better of you, and you drink from the mug. It's not too bad. So you take a few more sips. Gradually, you become drowsy. Malcolm comes and stands over you. Now tell me exactly who you are, and do not lie, he commands. You realize that you've been given some kind of truth serum. You feel terribly weak. You must be in real danger. You try to think of anything but what Malcolm wants you to tell him. You wish that you were some kind of animal and you could just run away from Malcolm. Turn to page 74. Before you can even wonder how it happened, you find yourself turned into a rabbit. You scoot between Malcolm's feet and out the door. The young man is chasing after you. He manages to kick you hard, and you faint everything goes black. And look, there you're a rabbit. Turn to next page. When you come to, you look around. It looks as if you're back in your tent at the student camp in Stonehenge. Oh, thank goodness for that. Everything, except that everything around you is 10 times larger than it used to be. You've returned to your own time as a rabbit. What has Merlin done? If he's not sending you to take part in a jousting match in the Middle Ages, he's sent you back in time or forward in time as a rabbit. You hop around frantically, trying to switch back to human form, but you remain. So I just knocked the. You remain a rabbit. That night, Joanne comes into your tent with PJ. What a mystery, she says. No one knows where he went. He just disappeared. You jump in front of her, trying to signal in some way that it's you in this furry body. Hey, look at this, Joanne calls to PJ. She picks you up and begins to rub your nose. What a cute rabbit. She snuggles her face next to yours. Come on, would you like to be my pet rabbit? Let's go and get you some carrots, she says. The end. Dum dum da. So you can end up as a rabbit eating carrots out of Joanne's personal veg stash, it seems. Wow. Well, that was spell it help in your little poops. Perfect. That would be the way, wouldn't it? Just help. And then just sort of they'd have to follow you around the tent. Lots of little words. Could have been worse. I thought PJ would have made you into a stew. I did think that's where it was going. I thought he was going to sort of stomp you or something and put you in a pot or turn you into shoes or something like that. That was fun. I have no idea how to get to the foot race, but we've managed to do, I think, most of the images that I've seen in this book, that has been fun, folks. I reckon a couple of hours of choose your own adventure it's a good innings. But if you want to have a go yourself, the journey to Stonehenge, choose your own adventure number 35, and it's not. I think it's not too expensive on the internet at the moment. So worth a look if you're interested. This was amazing, but I have to head out. Thank you for this. It was so entertaining. I laughed so loud so many times. Happy birthday, Archaeosoup. Thank you for joining me. Subarethric Resonator 101. I'm glad that this was amazing. I'll have to do readings in streams again in the future. Actually, this has been fun doing this. I do them at Halloween, but obviously that comes with a certain, atmosphere, intent, whereas this is much more of a conversation that we've been having this evening. And what a way to celebrate being 12, eh? What a wonderful way. Yes, do feel free to join us on Discord at the very least. Thank you for turning up this evening. Thank you for the good conversation. It's been lots of fun. Or don't, as Nolan says, do whatever you want. After seeing the carrots, PJ pulls out an onion and some celery, and a scary grin materializes on his face. I love rabbit stew. I do. My gran used to make a really cracking pot back at home. Anyway, thank you guys for turning up. It has been fantastic, and I look forward to uploading this on the YouTube channel and seeing what other people make of it as well. Choose your own adventure. I love these books. I've always have. And Stonehenge, what a perfect one for this evening. I'll catch you guys next time. I tend to stream on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays, if possible, depending on life events, etc. I think tomorrow night, no, not tomorrow night, because we're probably watching rugby and a film with friends. Maybe on Sunday night, I'll probably return to streaming, but certainly on Tuesday we'll be doing continuing Tomb Raider, the 2013 version of Tomb Raider. Well, thank you, Charmanar. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do the Indiana Jones ones next? Yes. Perfect. Yeah. Find Your Fate, Indiana Jones. I've got the first 4 or 5 of those upstairs. We should do that. Yeah, this should be a regular thing. Choose Your Own Adventure streams. Perfect. I don't think there's a copyright issue there. They're fairly old fairly well-known books, or fairly well-read books. It's been great. Right, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you. I'll see you next time, and need to talk about the shipwreck they found. Yes, but also, we do touch on that in the latest watching brief video at the beginning. Andy and I talk a little bit about Shackleton's shipwreck, and we will be returning to that in a future video. But anyway, right. Good night, guys. I love you, leave you. Until next time, do take care. And yeah, it's been a fantastic celebration of 12 years. Tell you what, I'll see you out with some bubbles, and then I'll say bye-bye. Oh, no, I'll head off. So, oh, no, that was rubbish. Now those were some bubbles. That was a good. Right, guys. Bye. Cheers.